Buenos días, comunidad en Oaxaca. Bienvenidos. My name is Marisela Barbosa Cortez. I'm a mother, a wife, entrepreneur, educator, published author, and the visionary of The Time Is Young. It is an honor to stand here before you as we gather for the first time for the first Latinos in Education Conference. Today, we're not only here to learn from a group of inspiring speakers and recognize some of los brillantes educators in our community, but also to celebrate the powerful role that Latinos play in shaping the future of education in our community. Before we dive into today's event, I'd like to take a moment to share the story behind The Time Is Young. The organization has brought us together today, this organization. So, in combination with the Solano Community College, gracias for hosting, and I will share more about our sponsors later on. So The Time Is Young is a civic consulting firm dedicated to the Latino empowerment and community influence. Established in 2018, our mission is rooted in fostering leadership, civic engagement, and influence among Latinos. In addition, our consulting work with the Time Is Young Network, which is our nonprofit branch, has been deeply involved in community engagement, outreach, and tackling critical issues like transportation, cultural preservation through history, exhibits, and educational workshops. These efforts help ensure that our communities are seen, heard, and supported across various sectors. Our work is built on three pillars: civic engagement, economic wellness, and education. These pillars represent the key components of a thriving society, and they guide everything we do. Civic engagement empowers our community to have a seat at the decision-making tables, shaping the policies and the decisions that affect our future. Economic wellness equips us with the resources and opportunities needed to create sustainable communities. Education provides the knowledge and skills to uplift our community and create a brighter future for generations to come. Together, we gather with a specific focus on education, a pillar that serves as the bedrock of our community's growth and success. We know that education unlocks the doors of opportunity, enabling us to break cycles in poverty, gain access to meaningful careers, and create the future we envision for our children. The Latinos in Education Conference was created with one goal in mind: to bring together educators, students, parents, civic leaders, and learn more from each other on how to break barriers and rewrite our narrative. Tenemos que cambiarlo. Today we have gathered, as I mentioned, all of the educators. A ver, ¿cuántos educators tenemos aquí? Are you? Yay! Civic leaders. También educators. Yes, yes. Parents and advocates. You're both. Yes. Felicidades. Gracias por venir. And so we want to make sure that we inspire each other and we learn from everybody that is here today. Again, gracias all of you for being here today, for your commitment to education, and for believing in the power of comunidad. The time is ya, el tiempo es ya, and we are here to ensure that our voices are heard, our communities are uplifted, and our future is bright. Let's make today un día de inspiración, colaboración, and meaningful change. I want to say thank you to all. Ya puede aplaudirme si quieren. I forgot one thing that I did forget, and I to say, is everybody bilingual here? Do you need translations at all? Todos son bilingüe aquí? Okay. So one of the things at the time is, we agreed to use English as the primary language, but we also, in events like this, if we need to have the bilingual, we're more than happy to translate. Okay, so with that in mind, I want to say also thank you to our sponsors. We want to mention our gold sponsor, which is Pacific Oaks College, and I want to have Dr. Judy Costa come in and say a few words.
You know, when Marisela asked, or she was talking to me about the opportunity to bring this forum into place, I said, I want to be part of it. And the reason for that is because of the commitment that we have as educators. Educators have a commitment to provide information, to inform our community, our students, on the opportunities that are available when it comes to education. It's troublesome to support an event where children or high school students are still saying, my counselor says to me, people like you don't make it. Gente como tú ¿Para qué? Give me a break, right? It really bothers me because we are part of this community, we are part of the U.S., and we are all equal. And we need to continue to advocate for the equality that we need when it comes to education. We all know that the majority of the Latinos are here in the state of California, so we are the majority in California. But we are still the minority when it comes to positions where decisions are being made. Education, health, and politics. We have made some strides, absolutely, there's no doubt, but for me, it's not good enough. We still need to do more, and opportunities like this with parents and students and advocates and leaders, we need to continue to make this change, because if we don't do it, no one else will. So it is really up to us. So again, I thank Marisela for the opportunity, really, for me, to be part of this because of the commitment that we have through Pacific Oaks College. We are located in Pasadena, however, our hearts are in Northern California. That's where I am. But the support of programs is online, so it is throughout. But the commitment, again, to support the Latino community is in our hearts. It is part of our core values at Pacific Oaks, and it's definitely our core values here with Marisela and tiempo es ya. Así que thank you, muchísimas gracias.
And, I also want to mention Torrey University. Actually, about 2 weeks ago, we did the first Latino in Science conference, and we partnered up with the Solano School District. We had 76 students. I know we had Julian Cuevas facilitating over there, and it was a great event. So now we're doing the first Latinos in education here. We also want to say thank you to the Solano Community College for allowing us to use their location, and Mornack Engineers for taking care of all the printing. Thank you, Mornack. That's my husband. You don't know. And so now we are going to have, I'll have Michael, Councilmember Michael Silva, I'm not sure, or Professor Michael Silva, because we also were Measure B funds, and you're a professor, so you want to?
Yeah, so thank you all for coming out. My name is Michael Silva. I'm a professor here. For the past 10 years, I found out on LinkedIn. But no, and I'm also a Vacaville City Council member. So I guess I'm following the tradition of my parents that work multiple jobs, because it's what we got to do. But just real quick, I'm a professor here at Solano Community College. I'm tenured, which is great. That means that I'm secured a job and I can get involved in politics and not have to worry about any type of retribution. But we all know that life's a challenge. And, my father, if I could share a story for a couple minutes. My father taught me one of the greatest lessons that I refer back to throughout my whole entire life. It was a hot day, hotter than what today is going to be, 110, 115 degrees. We're out Saturday morning, pulls me out of bed. Hey, we gotta go to work, Mike. Come on. And so I'm like 11 years old at the time, and here we are putting up the fence boards. Right. All right, now we got to get the ground ready. He bought a rototiller from a friend, and it broke. So he's sitting there cursing at it in Spanish. I'm like, come on, Dad, I want to go home. So we start digging up the dirt by hand to get it ready to lay the grass. He's like, okay, now we got to prune the trees. All right, so we start pruning all the bushes and trees and loading up into the truck. All right, now we got to prep the house. And I'm like, oh, man. So just nonstop all day, right? And I remember seeing the owner, who was a lawyer, sitting in through the window in his nice big comfy chair looking at, watching Saved by the Bell. I was like, oh, I've heard about that show. Never had a chance to watch it. And but just seeing him in there, and then at the end of the day, as my dad's, we're wrapping up, here it is like 7, 8 in the evening. And he's like, the owner comes out, it's like, okay, Ed, thank you. Here's your $100 for the day, and that $100 had to go to gas and to the dump. So out of that, you got what's left for quote unquote profit. And then he looks at me and he's like, hey, I seen you working out here hard all day. Here's $1 for your hard work. And I just, got kind of quiet, and I just remember looking up at that Jorge Washington on the dollar bill. And I'm like, thank you, sir. Thank you for $1 for my hard days of work. So I put that $1 in my pocket, and I thought to myself, well, maybe 2 more days of hard work, I can have $3 so I can buy something from the ice cream man or something like that, a kid's big dream. And So we go back, we get to sit in the car, and my dad's quiet for like 5 minutes. And it's quiet. I'm like, man, come on, Dad, let's go. Like, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry. And he says, you know, I know you hate coming out on these jobs with me, but I do it for 2 reasons. One, I want you to know a skill that helps me provide for you, for my family, so that way if you ever need it, you have those skills to provide for your family. 2, I want to make sure that you know how hard it is to earn that dollar. I want you to know how important it is in this country that you have opportunities that I did not have in my country. And I want you to go on and pursue those opportunities in education. I don't know how you're going to be successful. I don't know what that's going to lead to, but I know that's the way to make it in this country. And that's why I work hard for you. And 3, he had a 3rd one, and I can't say what he really said. But he said, I want you to make people like that work for you. But he called him something else. I want you to make people like that work for you. And something I realized throughout my life is that it's not about getting people to work for me. It's about how we all get to work together, right? And sometimes we got to do multiple jobs so that way we set up the next generation with more opportunities to make the impact that they can make in a world that is fair and just for all. So I do want to send my love out to my father. He passed away about 2 months after that. The pain never goes away. So like days like Dia de los Muertos that he was born, but because they thought it was bad luck on November 2nd, they changed his birthday to the 3rd. So, those are important days for me, my family, and my ancestors. So respect to everybody's ancestors for allowing us the opportunities that we have here today. That said, I want to next introduce you all to Juan Carlos Mora. You got some good bios, so give me a minute. Juan Carlos Mora is a staff assistant for the Democratic staff of the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, contributing to congressional investigations, administrative law, bankruptcy law, and oversight of federal courts. His prior experience includes serving U.S. Senator Alex Padilla and U.S. Representative Mike Thompson, and working with a top 5 lobbying firm in Washington, D.C. He graduated summa cum laude with a BA in philosophy from the George Washington University, and is currently pursuing a master's in public policy at the same institution. He's trained in both analytic and continental philosophy. His scholarship focuses on the intersection of political philosophy, constitutional law, and administrative law. Please welcome Juan Carlos Mora.
Buenos dias. As I said, my name is Juan Carlos Mora. I work as a staff assistant in the United States Congress for the House Judiciary Committee. And it's a privilege to stand before you here today, not just as someone who had the opportunity to serve in Congress and fight for justice, but as someone who's deeply committed to the future of this community here today that's come together. Today I want to talk about a vision where the potential of every individual, especially within our community, is fully realized, and where we're the architects of our own destiny. I'm here today because I had the opportunity to dream, because I had parents who were willing to invest in an education and to send me to Washington, D.C., some 2,500 miles across the country. Coming from a family of hardworking immigrants, I understood early on that success is not given, and I think everyone here in this room believes that as well. It had to be earned, but it had to be imagined before it could be earned. I envision a future where I would not only serve my community, but also shape the policies and decisions that define the course of our country. And that vision has driven me every step of the way, from serving in the halls of Congress to write laws that relieve crushing student loan debt from our students and holding our courts accountable. But my story is not just about my journey. It's about all of us here in this room today. It's about what's possible when a community rises together and supports its youth. When we're united by a belief that our future is limitless, then our future is limitless. And I believe that with every fiber in my body, that the Latino community is limitless. But to get there, we have to see ourselves not just as participants in our country's progress, but as leaders of that progress. We're not merely shaping our individual paths in Fairfield, Solano, and Vallejo, but that we're leaders in that progress. We have to build a new framework for what American leadership looks like, and that starts right here in this room. Our community is powerful, and we must fully recognize that power. Latino businesses are flourishing. Latino workers are driving economic growth. Latino families are laying the foundation for a future where our contributions can no longer be overlooked. And if you don't believe me, ask the Department of Education, who said that the largest group of first graders today in our classrooms are Latinos, with 28%. The time has come for us to build and to innovate and to lead fearlessly. In other words, in the words of the visionary who brought us here together, the time is ya. But to do that, we need to understand that education is not only a tool for personal success, although there's plenty personal success to come from it. It's the key to unlocking collective transformation. When you invest in education, you invest in the architects of our future, young people who will rise to bring solutions to today's problems. And we're equipping them to tackle climate change, to revolutionize industries, to govern with honesty, and to reimagine what our community can achieve. That's why we have to push the boundaries of what is possible. And I challenge each and every one of you here today to demand more. Demand more from our schools, who now serve more Latinos than they ever have before. Demand more from our businesses. Demand more from our government, and demand more from each other to rise to the challenge. And we must make sure that young Latinos are empowered to take their rightful place at the head of our communities. Let's be the generation of mentors that network, the generation that creates pathways for future leaders. And let's not only break down barriers, but redesign the entire system to reflect our strengths and our ideas and our resilience. That's why I'm here today. Not just to talk about how I got here, although my parents will tell you the whole story if you go up to them and talk to them back there, but to call on every single one of us to envision a future where the members of our community have the opportunity to thrive. And we could build that future through civic engagement, through leadership, but most importantly, through a shared commitment for education. I believe that the next chapter in the American project will be written by the Latino community. And it will be a chapter of success, a chapter of empowerment and triumph, but we cannot wait to write that chapter tomorrow. If you're not registered to vote, make sure you register as soon as we're done here today, because elections have consequences, and you have the power to choose those consequences. As a result of the election that happened in 2020, Hispanic serving institutions have received record investments, including $15 billion from the White House. More Pell Grants than ever before, $117 billion in student loan debt forgiveness for Latino students, an 80% increase in SBA-backed loans for Latino-owned businesses. Elections have consequences. And if there's one thing that you take away here today, is that education is not just going to school. Education is not just going to trade school. Education is also civic education. And letting everybody know in our community that we have the opportunity to make a difference here today. At the local level, on your measures, at the national level, with the White House, but with each other, to make each other more understanding, more compassionate, and leaders for the next American chapter. Thank you very much.
I just want to say, I didn't even remember exactly how I met Juan, but it was one of those meetings that I was trying to connect with Michael Silva also to do civic engagement. Is that how, in a phone call, I think is how we met, right? Yeah. And that's how I am, right? I just like to meet people and reach out to them. And I'm so happy that it's been like 5 years and now he's working for Washington, D.C. It's amazing. So on that note, I also forgot to mention earlier that Jose Rivas, can you please stand up? And Carla Valdez. Those are my partners in crime. They are part of the advisory board. The time is yeah. And we started to do workshops, educational workshops in Vacaville and then Vallejo. And so they are part of this committee that make this event possible. So gracias. So now we're going to go and start with our panel speakers, and I am not going to introduce them. They are going to introduce themselves once they come up and sit on the chair. So we have Dr. Barbara Flores, if you can come up, and then if you want to come up by name, or Julian Cuevas, I think you're the last, so maybe you want to go first. Where is Carlos Flores? And then Manolo, ya se me fue. Oh no, ya está. And before we get started, can you check the sound too? I can give you guys this microphone. And our moderator is going to be Dr. Judy Castro. I know we're a little bit behind schedule, but we're okay. Comida will be here at 11:30 sharp in Deliciosa, La Guagua.
All right, as Marisela noted, we are going to ask the panel to introduce themselves. So if we can start with Dr. Flores.
Buenos días. Can you hear me? Yeah, there you go. I want to thank you for inviting me, Marisela. It's so important to start an inaugural, organization, ¿verdad? That's how we all begin. I am a granddaughter of Mexicano immigrants. I was born and raised in Madera. And on my mother's side, we're from Tepatitlán, Jalisco. And from my father's side, we're from Durango. The men are from Durango, altos, fuertes. And the women are from Chihuahua, bravas y picosas. So I kind of have that trait. And it was the women that ran the show, not the men in my family. I have 45 cousins on my dad's side and 38 on my mother's side. We're the Flores clan. There are 5 generations, and we have a reunion every other summer. There's 500 of us. And somos muy unidos, peleadores, and I come from social justice roots, ¿verdad? And Juan Carlos, what you said was real important, because it is education that's very important. I just retired. I am 76 years old, and still fighting the good fight. And I retired 5 years ago after 40 years of being a university professor, a teacher of teachers. Imagínense. I wanted to be a president of a university, but because I was such a bocona, I wasn't able to rise up because I would question everything. But my husband, Dr. Esteban Diaz, said, "How many teachers have you taught, Barbara?" And so he added them up, 10,000. That's my legacy, 10,000 teachers, bilingual teachers. I'm the immediate past president of CABE. They forgot the C in here. There was a miscue. California Association for Bilingual Education. We are celebrating our 50th anniversary of advocacy in Long Beach in March. I was a trustee in the 7th largest school district in California, San Bernardino City Unified. I was vice president, president, and a board member. I also was the president of the California Latino School Boards Association. VP for 4 years, president for 4 years, and past president. Amazing, no? And also president, of CABE, also so many multiple titles, like you said, Michael, that we do so many jobs. And I commend you, Dr. Mora, because being a professor is so important. The leadership, I think I was born a leader, and I'll stop there. When I was like 4 or 5, le pregunté a mi papá, ¿quién te hizo el papá? ¿Qué? ¿Por qué? Porque yo quiero ser el papá, la persona que le dice a todos qué hacer. So I became the papá. Y la mamá.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the legacy that you've left on teachers that will continue to give to our community. But thank you. My name is Manolo García, and estoy muy agradecido por todas las mujeres fuertes que he tenido en mi vida, ¿verdad? Un aplauso para todas. So it is a pleasure to be here. I'm currently the Associate Superintendent of Human Resources and Educator Effectiveness for the Solano County Office of Education. So I have, it's an honor to be here. Lisette Estrella Henderson, our County Superintendent, asked me to be here in her place, and it's a complete pleasure to be here. So like many of us here, grew up in an immigrant family. My parents didn't, they tell me they attended maybe second grade, but I'm not sure that that was even true. So like many, I grew up in a home learning to spoke Spanish, went to school. I'm local. I grew up in Vacaville, no local, pero local. So went to school, and at that time, because I'm getting older, there weren't very many of us, right? There weren't many programs that supported kids like me. And so I kind of say sometimes that I succeeded in spite of, right, instead of because of the educational system. But was grateful that my parents didn't want me to, like Michael's story, do the work that they had to do, because they didn't have a choice. So I went to UC Davis. I saw my friends from UC Davis, the veterinary school out here. So I went to UC Davis, and I was a neurobiology major. Thought that I wanted to be a doctor. Worked at Clínica Tepati my whole time that I was at UC Davis, my 5 years there, because I wanted to serve. That's what I wanted to do. I knew that what my parents faced, what they went through, I didn't want other Latino families to have to experience that, right? Probably many of you, dragged to doctor's appointments or offices to translate for your parents, help them navigate this country that was unfamiliar to them. Those are our stories, right? That's what drives us. That's why we do what we do. And so, for us, it's an honor to, we hope that our legacy is giving to the next generation, hoping to get us further to where we need to go. So long story short, became a teacher, and then I was a principal at a pretty young age. I would think I was 28 when I became a principal in Winters, so not too far up the road, right up here, up 505. Had a dual immersion program, so I was principal and teacher in a dual immersion program there for 4 years. Then went to Markham Elementary School here in Vacaville. So for me, it was coming back home. It was giving back to the kids and the students that I could see myself in, right? I could see myself in them, and we also at Markham have one of the oldest, longest standing dual immersion programs in Solano County at Markham. So did that, and then have been fortunate enough to work in administration in the Vacaville Unified School District, and then take a leap over to do the work at the county level. But again, at the end of the day, we all just hope to make an impact on the students that we serve, and to see our communities continue to make progress. That's the goal, and it's an honor and privilege, and I feel a lot of gratitude to be able to serve. So thank you very much.
All right, well, I guess that's my turn. Buenos dias. My name is Julian Cuevas. The only way to tell a story is to obviously, start from the beginning, and I know we've only got so much time. Marisela's giving me a look. I got 2 minutes. There it is. Thank you, Marisela, for having me here, and thank you to the Solano Community College for hosting us. I am also the son of Mexican immigrants. My dad is from Michoacan, my mom is from Guanajuato, and I was born and raised here in Dixon. My parents came here, they worked in the fields when they first moved here. My dad was 16, my mom was 12. Fast forward, my dad said this is not the life, decided to join the Army, and is now an Army vet. He was enlisted during the Vietnam War, wasn't deployed, but was serving during that time. Coming out of the Army, joined police academy, became a police officer in Dixon, and then eventually became retiring as a lieutenant for the Solano County Sheriff's Office. Someone who didn't really speak English moving here somehow is leading one of the largest, legal offices here, or police stations here in the area. Pretty phenomenal for an immigrant, and that obviously left an impression on me and my 3 siblings. He also was an investigator for the district attorney's office here. My mom went the education route. She was a paraprofessional in Dixon for nearly 30 years, predominantly supporting migrant and special ed students. And so I think for me growing up, it was a family of service, a family of doing more than for yourself, helping your communities. And that's how I believe I landed in public service. I was the first Latino and first person of color to be elected to the Dixon School Board in nearly 30 years, which is wild because the Latino community in Dixon is nearly 50% on paper. We got about 63% of our students in Dixon are Latino students. 22% are English learners. 35% of our homes are Spanish-speaking communities or Spanish-speaking homes. I mean, I can throw data at you all day, and the fact that I'm the first person of color and first Latino to be elected to the school board in nearly 30 years is just wild. It's wild. And so I not only sit as the president of the Dixon School Board now, but I also sit as the president of the Dixon Library Board and sit on the board for the Solano County, the Solano Democratic Central Committee. All these jobs, as Mike Silva was saying, is like I almost feel like we're obligated to host and hold so many jobs, but I'm hopeful that one day we won't need to. I'm hopeful that one day that we can all commit ourselves to, a world and a career that allows us to be able to give ourselves to one job and do it well, and not be expected to do 5, 6, 7 jobs to just be seen and heard in our communities. And I think that's what we're all up here doing, is hopefully we're working ourselves out of a job one day to ensure that we're supporting all the communities that need our support. And so thank you for having me here. This is amazing. I'm blessed to be here on such an esteemed panel, and look forward to having a dialogue with you this morning.
Buenos días, yo me llamo Carlos Flores. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now, and I'm a crier. It's when I was asked to be a part of this, and as I got closer, just reflecting on the road that I've gotten here, because I've taken a different road than most. First and foremost, my family were tres veces mojados. We're from El Salvador. We came here in '81, and I grew up in San Francisco, moved to Vallejo, been there close to 30 years now, and I'm just trying to figure out how to, in 2 minutes, and try to talk how I got here. But I was a teen dad. I had my first son at 17. My high school picture, I'm holding my 6-month-old. I tried school. At the time, I didn't have the skill set for it, and I got into the trades. So in that process, I was in the field. I moved up. I became an organizer about 5 years ago, and then about a year ago, I took over a local in Petaluma. So I'm the business representative for painters and helping our working class folks. And in that area, I think my local is probably 60+% Latinos, and a lot of them are monolingual. So they hadn't had a Spanish-speaking rep there in, I don't know, 10, 20 years, if ever. I think right now, you know, I hear all the stories and all the similarities that we as Latinos have, you know, because what I was sitting here thinking and has me a little peanut butter in my throat is we are all the living embodiment of our ancestors' dreams and hopes. You know, my grandfathers, they all, they wanted different for their kids and their grandkids, and you know, I had the blessing of gifting my mom last year a second-generation college graduate. You know, because my sister graduated from SF State, and last year my son, my oldest, you know, he graduated from Sac State. You know, and for me, it was a gift for my mom, you know. So here I am today, just trying to be of service to my community, trying to, if I can demonstrate through my mistakes to our youngsters that there is a different way, or if you are making those mistakes, it's not too late. You can end up wherever you want to end up. You can go wherever you want to go, you know. And it's an honor to be here to represent Vallejo, our school district, and again, thank you for this privilege.
Thank you very much, Pamela, for your introduction. I think I also have here in my notes that I'm also to introduce myself, but I can't find Marisela, so she can cut me off. But in
She's over there.
You know, I also think we all have a story, and it's the story of our own journey that has made us who we are, whether we did the right thing or whether we didn't do the right thing. And I don't know that we can stand here and say it was the wrong thing, because it could have been the right thing. And so I'm not the first to judge, because I can't judge. But I can also share with you my own journey, which is really quite different than yours. But we do have a similarity from the perspective of the countries that we came from. However, we managed to come from Central America, from Mexico, South America, wherever, to come to the U.S. for the purpose of a dream that our parents had, a reality that our parents had. I can tell you from my perspective that, yes, we all were placed in a situation where we were interpreters. We were negotiators for our landlords and us, right? As to what we wanted to have changed in the flat that we were living in, where the sink wasn't working, it was plugged in, and what were you supposed to do but to interpret for your parents? I can also tell you about the limit based on my own parents and their exposure to education. My mom, when we were talking about what I should be doing, she said, well, you can be a hairdresser. Oh, okay. You can be a secretary. Oh, okay. Or you can go into the army. Oh, okay. But none of that sort of sat for me. And I think I was one of those people that even today, I take advantage of every opportunity that's presented to me. So if I see a stone on the road, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to see what's there. Is it something that is relevant to me? And if it's not, I put it back. But I made the decision to put it back. It wasn't somebody else doing that for me. And I've also had the insight for me that I don't ask for permission I never have. I do what I think is right for me, even though it may be just right for me for the moment, but not for others. So with that, I'm going to say one more thing, and that is, I am totally a believer of the opportunities that we are given. We have a Hispanic Serving Institution grant that the college has received. I will give myself credit that I have brought into the institution $5.1 million to support our Latinos, undergraduates, so that they can realize their dreams by getting their education. And you have to put yourself, and you have to think about this. How can we continue to support? It is through these government grants that we get. It is about positioning ourselves in actually doing and taking action. So for me to tell you is, do not leave any stone unturned. It comes across, turn it over. You decide whether you take action on it or put it back. So with that, we are going to start with our panel. Okay, así que we're going to start with the first question. And this question will be posed to all members here. And the question is, what advice would you give Latinos aspiring to serve on school boards or in educational leadership roles? We'll start with Dr. Flores.
I thought about that question a lot because I just saw it. And for me, the reason I serve is for my community, for the children, because the children are our future. They're our heart, they're our soul. And I stand on my colleagues and Carlos on shoulders of my grandparents, my great-grandparents, my parents, my tios. And the values that we have as Mexicanos, Latinos, are powerful. That's what drives me, my principles. The values of respeto, de caridad, de servir. Es mejor dar que recibir y no esperar recompensa. That drives me. Social justice. When I see a wrong, I will not stay still. I will speak up. My dad always said, si tú no lo haces, entonces ¿quién? ¿Verdad? So those are the values that drive my leadership and have driven my leadership. My dad also said, if you take a stand, he was very wise, Francisco Campos Flores, don't look back, mija, because nobody will be there. If you take a stand, you look forward and go for it, and whatever the consequences are. And Juan Carlos, I'm going to speak to you. Hispanic serving institutions is not in the congressional record. It's minority institutions. We have to change it so that we get all the more money that's due to our Hispanic serving institutions. The federal registry has to be changed. So you're in the judiciary, perdón, pero I got to tell him, ¿verdad? De que es lo que tiene que hacer. So, okay. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll just add, and I think we're all going to need to take an opportunity to lobby with Juan Carlos today. But I just want to echo what my colega said. I think the biggest thing that we need to take away, and if we get into and have the privilege of serving in a leadership role, is to take a stand and don't be afraid to be unpopular. Don't be afraid to be disruptive, because the status quo can't continue unless we want to get the same results. So that would be my humble advice: is take on the challenge, be fearless, because that's the only way we're going to make a difference. Yeah,
Echoing a bit of that. First, I would recommend know why it is you want to run first. Don't just run to run. What is it that's compelling you to do it? Is it something you want to fix? Is it something that needs changing? Let that drive you to be in there, because it's tough. It's tough. There's not an easy day in the gig, And if you don't have your purpose to be there, I can only imagine how much harder it would be to not have a guide for you while you're in your seat. Once you're in there, once you're elected, know that you belong there. And remind yourself of that, because there will be people that will try to remind you that you don't, for various reasons, whether it's because of how you look, your ethnicity, the color of your skin, or your politics. There's nothing off limits. So just know that people will always try to remind you that you don't belong. Know that you do. And the last thing I would say is build a support system. Whether that's your family, it's folks within your community, folks like these who are now officially, they don't know it yet, but they're officially part of my network. These are the folks that you want to surround yourselves with, because when the days get hard, and there will be hard days, you need a support system around you to remind you why you did this to begin with. Sometimes you just need someone to vent with who understands the things that you're going through that most people don't get. And you also need friends in this space to build community with.
Ditto. It's kind of hard on this end, but I mean, everything that was said prior is on point and what I would recommend. For me, I'll just speak personally. Not coming from an educational background and getting on the school board, it was a lot of, do I belong here? I'm standing and I'm sitting here next to folks with doctorates, masters. I got a high school diploma. What am I doing here? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If you have a purpose, if there is something that you see that needs to be addressed, you don't have to have a degree to do that. You just have to have the desire. And then you look into how you go about it, through policy change.
Carlos, you have a PhD in life, man.
Thank you. But yeah, so I really can't add too much more than what was already stated. But it's just have your purpose, know you belong, and then execute.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to continue with our themes, with its challenges and opportunities. I'm going to start with Julian and asking him to answer this question. What are the biggest challenges facing Latino students in your district? And what innovative solutions are you exploring to address them?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. You heard me share the data already, right? About 63% of our student population is Latino, about 22% of our students are English language learners, and probably damn near 100% of them are Latino students, if we're going to be real. The challenges that our district had been facing is that because we've had the lack of representation on the board, it was never really prioritized. These students were never prioritized. The outcomes for these students were never prioritized. And you could just look at the data. I think when I was running for school board, about 2.5% of English language learners were meeting A through G requirements in Dixon Unified School District. That's bananas to me. And and I can sit here and give all the data to sort of back that up on all those pieces, but the point I'm trying to make is when you're talking about over 600 students that are English learners in the district, that's a lot of students to ignore. And if the data isn't looking that our student achievement is getting any better, we got to look deep as to where are some opportunities for us to invest, for us to better support. And so not only by me being on that board and being able to at least say that on the microphone, I was able to help get our first Latina ever on the school board just last year. There was an opening, and we had some conversations. She's brilliant. She's an engineer. She knows her stuff. All it took was a little bit of a nudge to encourage her to get in the space, and I'm telling you right now, she's phenomenal. And what's crazy is we're sitting up on the dais. We got 5 board members. I'm on one end as the president, and she's literally the bookend to this dais. So when we're having conversations, we're literally able to look across to each other because the dais is a little bit curved. And it's nice to be able to look across and say, is there anyone else that has anything to say about this item? And so it's nice to be able to say that, yes, representation matters. So when we're talking about what we're doing to fix it is we do need more diverse, inclusive voices on that dais. We are prioritizing English learners now in the LCAP. So now it's no longer a question of whether or not this is a priority, it's embedded in our budget plan. And third, we just appointed our first EL coordinator at the district to ensure that we're prioritizing it. And I think that's what it takes. I think it's not just saying the things and being on the mic and giving the speeches, but what are we doing actively behind the scenes as well to ensure that we're putting the right people, the right dollars, and investing in the communities like our Latino students to ensure that they're all successful.
Thank you. I wish I could just take a seat up there too as well, so I could put my 2 cents. But due to time, I'm going to go directly to Manolo and ask him, can you share any success stories where district policies or initiatives have significantly impacted the success of Latino students?
Thank you very much for that question. And it's a loaded question, right? Because any policy, any initiative has the opportunity to be, I'll call it bastardized or implemented in a way that renders it ineffective. So I just want to start with that. So all of what I'm going to say, implemented well, has the opportunity to make a significant impact on our Latino Hispanic students. But first of all, and I'm glad to have my CABE friends in the room, but two-way bilingual immersion programs for our students. The research is pretty clear on that. The cognitive benefits, the achievement benefits, the long-term achievement benefits. And I don't want to split hairs. Whatever model of two-way immersion works for your community, let those decisions be made at the local level. But I would be a strong advocate and tell you that we need to have more programs that foster bilingualism because of all of the benefits, the cognitive benefits that we receive later in life from bilingualism. And think about that. Think about what it would have meant to some of us that didn't have those opportunities. If my parents had been able to speak to my teachers, if they'd been able to communicate, if they'd had any understanding of the homework that I was bringing home. I mean, what a difference that would have made, right, for us. The other thing is the other policy that I would say, and this is one that's going to hit very close to home with many educators, but grading policies. Grading policies need to change. Grades are teachers next door to each other. Their grading policies differ so much that grades mean nothing. So, some of them include things that are so arbitrary. We need to remember what grades are for. Grades are to measure learning. That's it. That's it. So let me just give you a little example. The grading system that we currently have, we penalize students. We use it as a vendetta for students. Students that don't attend class, right? Without considering whatever circumstances prevent them from coming to school, we penalize them in their grade. So, what kind of incentive do students have to continue forward and continue coming to school when, 2 weeks into the semester, 2 weeks into the quarter, they're already done. There's no turning back, right? We penalize them for behaviors in their grading. Why would we do that? Our fundamental objective in education is learning. That's it. That's it. No other. It's learning. And so why would we do that? Why would we hold students hostage with their grades? Something else about grading. We know that for many of our students, they don't all learn at the same time. Some need more time to learn concepts and skills. And what does it matter when they learn the concept and skill? If the singular objective is for them to learn, right? So let's not, you got to learn it within 2 weeks because that's when I'm giving the test. And if you're not ready, and too bad for you, whatever grade you get, it's gonna impact you the rest of the quarter. It's gonna impact you the rest of the semester. And you know what that does to our students? They have no hope, so they give up for many of them. So why would we do that? Why? So I know it sounds simple, but changing grading policies can have a significant impact on student achievement. So I'll just kind of leave it at that with our time. Marisela, you are a great dancer, and I had one more thing I wanted to say. We got to increase investment in education. We are the 5th largest economy when we're pulled out as a state, right? Only the United States, China, Germany, and Japan have larger economies than California. Yet we're 21st when compared to other states in spending for education. That's not going to do it. That's not going to do it because we have a diverse population with varying needs, and so we need to invest more. We need to invest more to make sure we can recruit and retain teachers that are qualified to be in our classrooms, and we don't have a recruitment problem. The problem is we hemorrhage teachers because we don't give them the environment that they need to thrive in. And so we need to do a better job of that. We need to invest more. We need to create so that they feel like professionals, so that they can make decisions that then have a true impact on student learning. So I'll leave it at that. So Marisela doesn't have to dance anymore.
I do want to ask the audience, would you like to have one more question or la comida ya?
No, la comida no, los workshops.
Ah, perdón. Yo estoy con la comida. ¿Así que la última?
One question?
Una más. Ok. Entonces a Carlos le va a tocar. Carlos, la pregunta. What role does vocational training and partnerships with local businesses play in providing career pathways for Latino students?
It's a monumental role. It's literally a life-changing role, because if you can learn a trade, if you can learn a skill set, you can go get a contractor's license, and now you can become your own businessman. Now you're an entrepreneur. You can do whatever you like, or you can stay within the confines of a union. You know, I've been a member of my union for 24 years now, and I'll be retiring with a pension, an annuity. You know, I've been able to provide for all my kids, help get my kids through school. You know, so trade-wise, it's a path to that elusive middle class that we talk about, that we say used to be here, but it still is. It's just not as accessible as it once was. And from what I see, you know, vocational trades, that's an alternative path, right? Because we all want our kids to go to school. We all want them to not have to sweat and labor like our parents did. But some of us just would rather do that. And that's okay. And it's okay to encourage your children to go the vocational route, whether it's you know, a trade, whether it's beauty school, you know, whatever it is. But if it's a means for them to be able to keep themselves gainfully employed, it's an okay thing. And within these areas, what I'm discovering is that then we connect outward. We connect with our community, right? We connect with our local elected officials, and that is another way to elevate the next generation. You know, if we're making sure that they're aware that their voice matters, that their voice counts, you know, and if we're ensuring that, and we're using our institutions to get that information out to the youth, then it's all this stuff is literally life-changing, because it can be the difference between a person struggling, earning $15, $20 an hour, $30 an hour, doing the same job that a union member makes, doing the same thing, earning $60 an hour. So that's transformative.
All righty. Thank you very much, panel. Very much appreciated. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I would also suggest be the owner. You run the show. So thank you, panel. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Gracias.